So John, with vSAN encryption and using a KMS, where should the KMS be located?
So there's two different options for using vSAN encryption at rest today. There's the external key managers. And so you're typically going to have a pair of these somewhere. Um, what I ask is you don't store them on the cluster that you're encrypting. And I know this sounds probably kind of obvious that you'd create a chicken egg loop, but it is possible to storage vMotion or try to storage vMotion, your KMS to the cluster that they're running on. And it would keep running until you had a power loss event or something in the data center and you tried to cold boot and bring all the hosts back up and you discover you can't access it and you've now permanently lost your data. Unless you had backups or offsite replicas of that KMS. So do make sure you have, KMSs multiple that are not running on the cluster. That's kind of the key to this. The other thing also is make sure they're backed up. Make sure you know where those backups. Now, if you're using the native key provider, this one doesn't suffer from the chicken egg because of a technology called key persistence. So your vCenter server is acting as your initial key manager that's seeding those keys out, but it's gonna store and cache them actually within the TPM modules. Ideally, you purchase TPMs or boot devices, but really buy some TPMs, people. And so in this case, if you did the VCSA went offline and your cluster went dark and you went to power stuff on, the vSAN data store would come roaring right back to life because it would pull the keys out of those TPMs. That is a persistent place that it can securely store those. So depending on which path you choose, you're either looking at some additional availability considerations for those external or making sure you've got those nice TPMs for the native key manager.
Yeah, I think in both of those cases, really based off of what you shared there, is that if you're going to go one route, you need to think about maybe some of those reasons that allowed you to create a management cluster, for example, in the first place. You wanted to separate some of the dependencies that make the cluster work versus some of the services that run on it. So, but I think too, with the native key provider, that really offers a lot of interesting options there for our customers as well.
Well, and it really helps you have your cake and eat it too, because one of the challenges with external key managers is people don't necessarily, if they've got 100 different sites they want to encrypt, they might not want to put a key manager at all those 100 sites. But now that WAN is really important. Like you may want to go call in your SD-WAN friends, get the Velo Cloud in there and make sure that you can, that way, if that site goes dark, you had a WAN outage, you can still connect over a VPN over wireless or some type of failure. Or go look at that native key manager with those TPMs, because then you're stop having to get involved WAN design in your encryption process. Like this, as you see, it can kind of spiral quite a bit. So there's a lot to think about.